Yo, what's up, Trucker Mommy? I am on my way to get my kids from school. And I'm getting another sinus infection or something. Goodness, sometimes I ask myself, why the heck do I live in Minnesota where we have winter for like 8 months of the year? Why do I still live here? Why can't we move somewhere warm like Arizona or something? But the truth of the matter is I've lived here like all my life. I've lived in other states before, but I was born here, and hey, there's no place like Minnesota, am I right? If you know, you know. So I don't think I'll ever move away unless I do, then I will. But anyway, so I know some of y'all were asking some questions on my last video, and I wanted to address some of them, but honestly, I since I'm driving right now, I can't be looking at my phone. So I'll have to answer some of those later. The one that I really grabbed my attention, someone was asking about mental health. I think that was, bear with me, I think that was Vincent. Was asking about mental health in the US or something like that. My husband might have mentioned I'm actually going to school right now for psychology. I'm just going really just to get my undergrad. I don't really plan to do anything with it necessarily, not now anyway. I just want to finish my undergrad because I never did. So that's the plan, and I don't know what I'll do from there. And that kind of also goes with someone was asking if I plan to go back into trucking. So the thing is, or back to driving. The thing is, like, I'll always be a trucker, but I don't have to drive to be a trucker, if you know what I mean. We're in the trucking business, but I don't have to drive a truck to be in the trucking business. We have drivers now, so if all goes well, I don't plan to go back to driving truck. I don't write it off because I know that plans can change. It's kind of like when I started driving truck. This is not anything to do with mental health. Goodness, this is totally off the track. So maybe we'll talk about that later. So when I first started driving truck, my very, very first day, I had been driving school bus up until then for a couple of years. Sorry. Excuse me. So I was driving school bus, and in the summer, of course, there's no work because if you're from the US, you know this. If you're not from the US, you might not know that we are off during summer holiday for usually the months of June, July, August, or at least all of July and parts of June and August, depending on the school. So my school that I drove for, we got out in early June, and then we started off the last week of August. So I didn't have any income for 3 months, right? So I had to do something because driving school bus didn't pay enough to save up during the time I was just home. So I started driving Uber. I was gonna do Lyft too, but yeah, I think I just stuck with Uber. I was driving Uber around the metro, and it didn't pay a lot, but it helped. It helped enough that I could make my car payment and had a little bit extra, at least, so I wasn't going in the hole while I was not driving bus. And then I started, my first day driving truck was supposed to be July 2nd, 2019, but it poured down rain that day. I was so excited. I was terrified too, not gonna lie. I was kind of hoping they'd cancel. Actually, I got my wish. It was like going from bus to dump truck. It's not a big deal, but it's different. They sit up high, and I had a Quint, so they're big and it's new and intimidating. And I was supposed to be working on the light rail project they have going on from, where is it? The Twin Stadium in downtown Minneapolis to Eden Prairie. So I was supposed to be over at I think I was supposed to be at the water tower in Eden Prairie. And so it rained. But before I was supposed to start working, I had to do some safety training because light rail, we work around trains all the time. So you have to take some safety classes to work around them. And then you get a little special sticker put on our safety helmet, and that shows that we've gotten the training. Then we have to wear a special safety vest and stuff. Excuse me, because working with trains is it can be very dangerous. So we have to follow the rules of working with trains. When the trains come by us, we got to stop until the trains are gone. So we don't want the trains hitting us. We don't want to hit the trains. We just stop. The operation stops when there's a train coming. So, but I hadn't gotten that far yet. I was just in the train. And after the training, instead of driving truck all day, I drove Uber that day. And I just picked up a couple of people. And that was my last day driving Uber. It was the last day. The next day I drove truck. And then I was busy driving truck for a long time till winter. I drove a couple days in the school bus, kind of as a standby sub when I was available, when the trucks weren't running. But I eventually let it go. I let my license go because I shouldn't say license, there's a special endorsement for driving school bus. So I let the endorsement go just a couple years ago because it had been so long since I'd driven bus. I'm like, I probably won't do it again. And if I do, I can always get that endorsement back later. I'll just have to take the road test again. And yeah, so I just let it go. And I haven't really thought about driving bus again. Just like I haven't worked as a CNA and as a nursing assistant in years since I left the place. I've never gone back. And people move on. You know what I'm saying? Like, we grow and we change. So that's what I'm saying. I don't write off getting back in a truck and driving. I know that might be something I'll need to do. And if I do, I'll do it. Because I know how to make money driving truck. Having drivers is something new. And I don't know. Are we going to make enough? Are we not going to? I don't know. So we'll see. But the mental health piece, I'm studying psychology to get my undergrad, and I started that while I was still driving truck full time, and I was going to school full time, and that's a whole nother crazy story. But I'm only taking 2 classes now per semester. So I have 6 classes to go, so 3 more semesters, and I should be graduating if I stick with it. And I needed something that I could do while driving truck that didn't interfere with my truck driving. So I found a place I could do online classes. And so that worked out. I was studying music before that, and there's no way, because I was a voice major. Choir meets 3 to 4 times a week in person, and it wasn't a possibility. So I had to change my major. But I was out of school for like 8 years, and that's a whole nother story too. But I've done a lot of research. My kind of area of interest in psychology is severe mental health issues, and issues like self-harm, suicidal ideation, homicide, and things like that, crime, and people with really extreme behaviors. That's my special interest that I research whenever I get a chance for my projects at school. And I want to say, obviously I'm not a professional. Obviously I can't treat anyone who has mental health issues. I can only talk about what I know. What I do know is that having severe mental health issues is not like a death sentence necessarily. There's a lot of treatment options for people, and some people can actually completely turn around and be symptom free. So it just depends on the help that people receive. So depends on where, like, if people have access to treatment, I guess is what I'm saying. It's really important to have that access, and a lot of people don't, even though the US is one of the best countries in the world. We do not have the best health insurance. And working in mental health, people get burnt out, so we often have a shortage of providers, even for the people who do have the health insurance coverage or the means to get help. So it's a tricky thing, but I do know that mental health issues affects a lot of people, and it does not have, like, it does not discriminate based on country of origin or anything like that, like across the board. Although if you go into statistics, some people are affected statistically more than others. But, you know, if it's a family member who's struggling, those statistics mean nothing, really. Kind of. I mean, they do. But you know what I'm saying? If you know somebody who's struggling, or if you are struggling with mental health issues, statistics don't really mean a whole lot, unless they can somehow encourage you, I guess. I don't know. I did a paper last semester on, what was it? Suicide prevention in the United States. It all started out in Los Angeles in the 1950s with suicide notes that the county coroner, Los Angeles County coroner, had a huge stack of these notes of people who had completed suicide. And so these doctors are studying these notes, right? And then they started a suicide prevention center in LA. And that's how things started getting rolling. And so I spent hours and hours and hours on this project, researching where did it go from there? What was the backstory? What did they do at the center in the years following? What was the follow-up? What did we do in the United States back in 22, I think it was? 2022, they rolled out a new phone number. If you live in the United States of America, you call 988, and that will connect you with one of the centers, suicide prevention centers across the U.S. based on where you're calling from. They'll route you to the nearest center. And I think there's over 120 centers in the U.S. now, starting from that one in L.A. So we've come a long ways. The Surgeon General put out a report on suicide around, I think, the early 2000s, that this is a problem in the United States. It's one of the leading causes of death in the U.S. So it's a big problem, and it's been a big problem for a while. But the thing is, like, it's still a big problem. I said, statistics don't matter that much unless, like, sometimes they do, sometimes they don't. But here's the thing, okay. When I was researching this, and I was looking at statistics, shoot, someone's calling me. Okay, to be continued. Hey, sorry about that. I had a phone call I had to take, and I got my kids now. We're on our way home. So I was just talking about suicide prevention in the U.S., statistics. So I had to look up the statistics for my project last semester on suicide deaths, because 2022, that was the most recent year we had info for, because I did the paper in 2023, so we didn't have statistics yet for that year. And what I found from that is, in the United States in 2022, we had a record number of suicide deaths in the United States, like the highest recorded number of suicide deaths this country has ever seen. The same year they roll out a 3-digit phone number for crisis line. And that tells me that mental health issues in the United States is something that is out of control. Like, we've got to do something different, because what we're doing isn't working. It's not working. Now, I know it's working for some people, but as, like, okay, so like I said, statistics, okay, they matter when they matter, they don't when they don't. As a big picture, that's a problem. Now, as far as individual, what you got to do for your own life, if that's not your thing, like, I don't know, it needs to be everybody's thing. That's the thing. What I found is that from this paper, the people who actually can make the biggest difference are not even professionals. They're lay people. They're volunteers. They're your family doctor, your pastor, your friends, your neighbors, your spouse, your family, your people who are not professional mental health providers are the ones who can actually make the most difference. Because we have such a shortage of mental health professionals that they can't handle this on their own. It's too big of a thing for mental health professionals alone to deal with the mental health issues in the United States. Now, I don't know about the other countries of the world, because that's not where I live and that's not where I did this research. And maybe that would be something I could look into someday, because maybe there are other countries that have this better figured out. I know one thing that is a big cause here, which nobody's ever going to do anything about, I know, but a lot of these deaths, are caused by firearms. And y'all, I'm not anti-gun, and I'm not trying to start a debate on gun control or anything. I'm just stating the facts that a lot of these deaths are from firearms, because they're very potentially lethal. You have the means, you have the thought, put those two together, that's what causes a suicide death. Those are the only two factors that are consistent across the board in every suicide death that happens, is the means and the, you know, the impulse. You remove the means, you prevent a suicide death. Okay. So, or for somebody who's thinking about it, if they're distracted or whatever, usually it only takes a few minutes. Like, I think they said like 20 minutes window. If someone can get past that, then they'll be okay. So I could talk about this for days, guys. I could talk about this for days. I don't know what difference it would make. Maybe someone can hear this and you check up on your friends. Check up on your people that you care about, your family. Because you never know who's struggling. You never know who's going through it, you know? So just be there for each other. Life can be brutal for all of us. I guess that's the bottom line for this video. And if you have any more thoughts, again, I'm not a mental health professional, and I cannot treat, but I can answer some questions. I don't know. I want to hear from you guys, though. I want to hear, like, if someone's ever been there for you when you needed them, or if you've ever been there for someone else, what that's been like. Or if you have any thoughts, like any thoughts at all, just let me know in the comment section down below. And if you have any other questions, I will be making another video or several other videos for those other questions I haven't been able to get to yet. But right now, this is it, and we'll see you next time. And yeah, so before I go, just don't forget to, if you haven't yet, hit that subscribe button, hit that like button if you liked it. If you didn't, hit that unlike button. That's cool too. And share with your friends if you find this useful. And we'll see you next time. Okay, bye.